Welcome back to the Unfiltered Political Lens. Tonight we're diving into one of the most important stories the mainstream media rarely fully explains: the hidden economic war unfolding behind global conflict and why it could dramatically impact the future of the United States economy, your savings, your cost of living, and the financial future of everyday Americans. While the headlines focus on missiles, military strikes, political speeches, and rising tensions in the Middle East, the deeper battle happening behind the scenes is about oil, global currency dominance, economic leverage, sanctions, and whether the US dollar can maintain its position as the center of the world financial system. For decades, the United States dollar has held extraordinary power because of its global petrodollar system that emerged after America left the gold standard in 1971. Through the strategic agreements with major oil producing nations, especially Saudi Arabia, oil sales across much of the world became heavily tied to the US dollar, forcing countries everywhere to hold massive reserves of American currency in order to purchase energy. That demand strengthened Americans' financial positions for generations, helping support the lower borrowing costs, stronger global influence, and the enormous leverage over the international banking systems. But today, signs of strain are beginning to emerge across the global economy. The rising geopolitical tensions involving Iran, China, Russia, and the BRICS aligned nations, and ongoing instability throughout the Middle East are pushing some countries to explore alternatives to the traditional dollar based trade system. Some governments are experimenting with oil transactions in yen, local currencies, barter agreements, and alternative payment systems designed to bypass American controlled financial infrastructure and reduce reliance on the US dollar. This matters because of the modern global economy. It is deeply connected to the energy markets. The Middle East still controls some of the world's most strategically important oil reserves and the shipping routes, especially the Strait of Hormuz, where a large percentage of the world's oil supply passes every single day. Whenever conflict escalates in the region, the financial markets will react immediately because the investors fear disruptions to the global energy flows, and even the threat of the instability can trigger spikes in oil prices worldwide. When oil prices rise, the effects do not stay overseas. Americans feel it at the gas stations, grocery stores, utility bills, airline tickets, shipping costs, as well as manufacturing prices in nearly every part of daily life. Transportation becomes more expensive, business raises prices to offset the operational costs, and the inflation spreads across the economy in ways many people may not immediately connect to the foreign policy or to the global conflict. That economic pressure creates major problems for the Federal Reserves and the central banks around the world. If energy driven inflation remains high and the interest rates may stay elevated longer than many Americans hope, making their mortgages and vehicle loans, credit card debt, and business borrowing increasingly expensive. The families already struggling with inflation can quickly feel trapped between the rising living costs and higher borrowing expenses at the exact same time. At the same moment, America's national debt continues growing at historic levels. Now, for years, strong international demands for the United States Treasury boards, supported largely by the global dollar dominance, allowed the United States government to finance massive spending at relatively manageable rates. But if more countries slowly reduce their dependence on the dollar reserves over time, America could eventually face a greater pressure from the rising interest payments, larger debt service costs, and increased financial instability. Now, some online voices dramatically exaggerated claims about an immediate collapse of the dollar, and many of the economists have argued those fears are overstated. The United States dollar still dominates our global reserves, international trade banking systems, and financial markets, mainly because no competing currency currently offers the same combination of liquidity, institutional trust, and military backed stability in the global infrastructure. However, experts also acknowledge that even a slow erosion of our dollar dominance over many years could significantly reshape the future balance of global economic power. What we are witnessing today is not just military struggle, it is a battle over our systems. Nations are competing for influence over trade routes, banking networks, digital currencies, and rare earth minerals, semiconductor production, artificial intelligence infrastructure, energy markets, and technological dominance. Modern geopolitical warfare is increasingly economic warfare, and the battlefield, which now stretches far beyond tanks and missiles, also into our finance, cyber operations, sanctions, and our global supply chains. And this is why understanding the economics, this is why understanding the economic why behind these global conflicts matters more than ever. The media often focuses on dramatic footage and political headlines because of the fear and the outrage which drive ratings. But the quieter story underneath may be even more important. Behind every major geopolitical crisis is a struggle over money, over influence and trade power, and the future of structure of the global economy itself. For independent political creators, focusing on the economic impact behind world events can help the audiences better understand how these conflicts connect directly to everyday life. People may initially tune in for the breaking headlines about war or diplomacy, but they stay engaged when they realize those events influence their retirement accounts, wages, home affordability, taxes, inflation, and the long term value of their savings. Breaking complicated geopolitical stories into shorter, punchier segments also helps keep the energy high while making difficult economic concepts easier for the viewers to follow and understand. And in many ways, the biggest conflict of the next decade may not be fought entirely with bullets or bombs. It may be fought through our sanctions, trade wars, cyber attacks, energy markets, banking systems, digital currencies, and financial leverage between competing global powers. And whether most Americans realize it or not, the outcome of what that economic struggle could shape the future, strength of the U.S. middle class and the purchasing power of the dollar and the financial future of generations to come. Now, if you enjoyed this breakdown and you want more of the hidden economic and geopolitical forces shaping our world, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the Unfiltered Political Lens. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. We truly appreciate every single one of you joining the conversation and staying informed during these rapidly changing times. We're going to continue bringing you the latest updates, deeper analysis, and the stories many outlets refuse to fully explain. Until next time, stay informed, stay sharp, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.